Hello there and welcome back to another ITH video, and today on this gloriously sunny day I am going to be reviewing this absolutely gorgeous Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Now we have to talk about how good this Stelvio looks. Now the standard Stelvio is a very good looking car. I'd say it's actually by far the best looking medium-sized SUV on the market. But when you add the Quadrifoglio treatment, which gives you these rather tasty little cloverleaf badges, it adds so much more and it makes it into an absolute beast. So you've got a much lower front splitter, grille and everything, just bigger intakes at the front, sucking in all the air. You've got these lovely gills, which are, okay, they're vents, but they look like fish gills down the side, you know? Ooh, very tasty, like those. All moulded into the bonnet as well, no little insert, very nice. Big fan of those. As I said, we've got the cloverleaf badges on the side that hark right the way back to Alfa's racing history. You've got flared wheel arches at the front and very flared at the back to cater for those big chunky alloys. Speaking of which, wow. You've got little quad pipes at the back with a slight faux diffuser and a little spoiler. Altogether, it adds up and it makes this car look absolutely fantastic. We should talk about the options on this car because this retails at £70,000 here or there. This is an Alfa Romeo press car, and so it is spec'd up to the nines. I'm going to go through all the different options there are on this car, including this lovely paint. This is Alfa Romeo's Competizione Red, which is a triple layer red, which gives it all this beautiful deep sparkles in the sun. Unfortunately, to get this beautiful deep sparkly red, you have to pay £2,500. Wow. Now, some more options on this car. All relates to this area down here. Now, the wheel design itself, these 20-inch alloys are standard. This has got the slightly darker finish on them, which isn't much, 250 odd quid, I think, very nice. And these are, I've got to say, some of the most beautiful alloys I've seen on the car. They're so concaved and they are absolutely beautiful. I love these wheels. Now, hiding behind these wheels in there is the single biggest option that this car has got. These are carbon ceramic brakes, and these cost, are you sitting down? £5,900. Now, fair enough, this is a big old beastie and it takes a lot to stop this when you're going because it's a big car. But £5,900? Yeah, that's quite a lot of money. And you also have to pay extra, only a few hundred quid, but you have to pay extra to have the red brake calipers as well. Not entirely sure I would go with that, but yeah, absolutely love these wheels. Right, in the interior now, and it's very hot in here, so this is going to be very short. Okay, options-wise, we have the biggest option in this interior are these rather delicious Sparco carbon-backed racing seats. Seems a bit weird having lightweight carbon seats in a big SUV, but they do look very cool with all the carbon on the backs of them. Not that comfy over long distances, I've found, but they do look very nice. You've got the red stitching around here, that's an option. We have this Alcantara and carbon steering wheel, that's £425. Just so you know, these carbon back racing seats are £3,250 as well. So you've really got to want to have these carbon seats. We also have a very nice panoramic sunroof. That I would say is a must on a car like this, and that rocks up at, I'm just looking at my spec sheet now, £1,250. Quite an expensive option, but I would say if you don't go for these seats, then that's, you know, you've less than half the price of these seats is that sunroof. Stereo upgrade as well. Harman Kardon is £950 up to their upgraded stereo. Very nice, very clear, very good sounding stereo as well. Checking my list, that's it for options inside. I'm going to turn the AC on. Now, when you add all those options up, it turns this £70,000 car into an £85,000 car. Ouch, which is quite a lot. But all is not lost to those of you thinking, woe is me, that's far too expensive. Because, as ever with these reviews, you can win this car on botb.com, and the tickets are just £3.35 for this 510 horsepower beast of an SUV. Now, as we're talking about the interior before, I really have got to mention, this is a really special place to be. I mean, for me, in terms of design and the kind of touchy-feely bits, this is light years ahead. Okay, the new GLC from Merc is pretty nice, but it's still just got that definite Germanic feel, same as the Q5. This just screams Italian flair. You've got this lovely swooping dashboard, the red stitching. I mean, the carbon trim in here is gorgeous and standard as far as I'm aware. It's just everything feels nice in here. Apart from one thing, if you spec these carbon-backed Sparco racing seats, the seatbelt, when unbuckled on the passenger side, rattles around onto the side of that seat. And I don't think I'm being unreasonable when I say it is absolutely infuriating. And so, in fact, so much so that I set up a little camera over there and just driving down normal bumpy roads to give you an idea of what it sounds like. See? Infuriating. Isn't that just the most irritating thing you've ever seen? I don't really know what they could do. They could put a little, I don't know, a little Alcantara piece on the side or a leather bit on the side to stop it rattling and banging so much. But it means that I have to buckle the seatbelt when there's nobody sitting in the seat. And that's just annoying. Now, aside from that minor irritation, I mean, you get all the kit you could want in here. Things like adaptive cruise control. This hasn't got it on this particular press car either. It is an option, not that expensive though. I would get it personally because it's nice to have. You've got these lovely aluminium shift paddles, which when you're in race mode and manual, you definitely use because it's ace. As with the Giulia, the infotainment system is okay. I'm not going to go any further than that. It's good, it's passable, it's nowhere near as good as the German rivals. And still, as with the Giulia, the DAB constantly drops out. No matter what channel I'm on, it's constantly dropping out. Very, very irritating. But one good thing about this is there is a lot of space in here, so we need to talk practicality. Right, here we are in the back of the Alfa. Now, because of the styling, which is quite sort of swoopy, and there's a much lower roofline than you would normally get on a car like this, more like a coupe SUV, if you will, you do suffer for headroom in the back. Now, obviously, I'm quite tall, and I'm not actually touching. If you had an exciting hairstyle, you might brush up against it. I think the panoramic sunroof brings this roofline down a little bit as well, because there's extra depth to it. But legroom-wise, okay. The carbon seats do help, I think, because they're thinner than normal. I think if you had the normal seats, you might struggle being 6'3" like me. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's a lovely place to be. If a little dark, this sunroof definitely helps. Right, so here we are, as you can see, in the boot of the Alfa. This has got 525 litres of boot space. Now, as you can see, that sounds quite a lot, and it looks like it's quite a big area in here, but the way that the rear hatch slopes down, it does mean it's slightly less practical than its rivals. It's about 25 litres less than your Merc GLC and things like that. But the car that I would say is its biggest rival, which is something like the Jag F-Pace SVR, this has got 125 litres less boot space than that, which is quite significant. This one's got some nice little levers to pop the rear seats down, and there's no spare wheel in here, which could affect some people. But then again, changing a wheel that size, no thank you. Right, so before we actually get to driving this thing properly, we're going to go and see what is under that very, very sexily vented bonnet. Right, so here we have the heart of this Stelvio Quadrifoglio and its Giulia Quadrifoglio stablemate. This is a 2.9 litre twin-turbo V6. Produces 510 horsepower, 503 brake horsepower, and 600 Newton meters of torque. quite a lot really. Now this drives all four wheels, very important on this car, all four wheels through a ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox. Now with all that power from the engine, you'd expect it to be pretty quick, right? This does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. I mean, just think about that for a second. 3.8 seconds to 60 miles an hour used to be, in fact, that's faster than supercars used to be. We've kind of got used to the fact that now our modern supercars do them in 2.8, 2.6 to 60. This is a big family car, and this does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. That's bonkers. And of course, not that it's at all relevant, but this tops out at 176 miles an hour. That's very fast. You're never going to get anywhere near it unless you go to a runway. So, okay, so we've ascertained that this thing is quick, and it really is. But can this thing handle? I mean, after all, this is an 1,800 kilogram plus tall SUV. Well, you know what? It's actually not too bad. When I tested the Giulia, I complained that it was a bit too skittish for daily use. It was really, really direct, and everything about it was a little bit too performance oriented, and I thought it should have just been a coupe in the end. So my question is, like, does this have the same traits? Well, thankfully, no. It really doesn't. The fact that it's got all-wheel drive means that it's just got grip and traction wherever you want. The steering is a bit heavier, a bit less direct. I guess they know that this is going to appeal to a slightly different market. The steering is still on the more direct side compared to the rivals, so it does still steer with a little bit more clarity and just a little bit more precision than the German rivals. It's still definitely got its own character, this car. It is absolutely 100% not a German SUV, it is an Italian SUV. And I love that about it. You can change the setup of the car into these various different modes using the Alfa DNA selector. Normal is, as you would say, normal. Suspension's comfortable, and it shifts up early, and the exhaust valves very rarely open. When you put it into dynamic, everything firms up a little bit. In fact, it firms up quite a lot. Then you can press the button, it takes it down one notch, which is still a notch above normal, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But what that does is that opens the exhaust valves at a certain point. I think it's about 3,500, 4,000 RPM. So if you do happen to floor it, and the response is a lot quicker as well on this, the throttle response tightens up as well. So if you do floor it, you do get a good blare from the exhaust. So one very, very good thing though, you can drive in dynamic, but if the weather's like this, there's only one mode you've really got to be in. Right, so I'm going to drop the windows. And what you have to do is you have to pop it into race, which is you hold and turn, press the button to make the dampers softer. Now that has opened the valves completely. Also put it into manual mode, so I'm now controlling it via these paddles. It is just sonorous. Oh God. And with that, we need to talk about the exhaust a little bit more. Anyone ordering one from now, I think they get an exhaust button, or they get more configurable dynamics, I've been told. So that basically you'll be able to have the noisy exhaust at any time that you want, which is absolutely brilliant news because, God, this thing sounds good. I'm not sure if it's just my memory fading or because I couldn't really use the Giulia that much because it was -3 in race mode. But this to me seems a lot louder than the Giulia was. In race mode, this thing is downright obnoxious and I love it. It's got a whip crack on the upshifts. If you floor it in first into second, it goes whoosh. It's good. I mean, I tell you what, I absolutely love the sound this thing makes, and the fact that you can now have it open and the valves open whenever you want as well. It transforms this car for me. There's that pops and bangs again. Jesus Christ, it's quick. Woo! Therein lies the problem with this car. It's so addictive, the noise, the performance, that you just find yourself in manual, blipping up, blipping down, making a huge amount of noise, and all that does, other than give you endorphin rushes, is it drinks petrol. Now, the official amount of petrol it's supposed to drink is only just under 25 mpg, which isn't great. Honestly though, I've had this thing for a week and I've averaged 15 mpg, but I mean, I have been mostly blatting around in it, so yeah, to just be aware, you're going to get some pretty hefty fuel bills with this. So what Alfa has created here is a very focused performance SUV. A lot of the other cars out there, they dull them down ever so slightly. Things like the GLC, they are far more broad in their abilities to sort of smooth out the bumps and have a relaxing drive. Even in the most relaxing mode, this is still, you always feel this is very performance focused in this car. I believe the Jag F-Pace SVR is also very similar. Haven't driven it though. Jag, if you're watching, hit me up. And also the new BMW X3M is also very, very focused. There's cars like the Porsche Macan though, which definitely, they have a performance feel, but they manage to do things with a slightly more dual personality. So it's very interesting to see, and same with the Audi SQ5. So it's there's definitely something for everyone in these performance SUV ranges. But the Stelvio has got its own distinct personality. I really do love that. So my summary would be, I suppose, if you're looking for an SUV that will entertain you, as well as be a practical family car, then always give the Stelvio a look. I wouldn't dismiss it out offhand, because at the end of the day, this thing sounds amazing, and with the new sport button or exhaust button or whatever you can do, you can hear it singing its glorious V6 song whenever you want. And it just looks so good, so much better than all the rivals. So I would always look at the Stelvio. So thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. We have loads more reviews. We're going to aim for one a week. And yes, and the notifications bell, all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.